Dear guest, welcome to Kempinski, Muscat. We'll be conducting a short health and safety briefing. When the smoke detectors in this room detect any smoke, the fire system will automatically activate. When you hear the emergency evacuation alarm, please stay calm and do not panic and leave to the nearest emergency exit, as the emergency exit in the ballroom are all wooden doors marked with the escape sign. Upon exiting the ballroom, make your way to the emergency glass door by pushing outward. Then you should go directly to the main assembly point to the right of the ballroom. The alarm often stops sounding before it's safe, so no one should re-enter the building until instructed. To get to the washroom, exiting the ballroom heading right and at the end of the corridor directly to your left. We also have a prayer room for males and females upstairs behind the business center. If you are in one of the meeting rooms, when you hear the emergency evacuation alarm, please stay calm and do not panic and leave to the nearest emergency exit. There are 3 emergency exit doors. Follow the escape sign and exit by pushing the doors outwards. You can find the washrooms and the prayer rooms on the same level as the meeting rooms. Our banqueting team will be happy to assist you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان
وأن الاهتمام بقطاع التعليم بمختلف أنواعه ومستوياته وتوفير البيئة الداعمة والمحفزة للبحث العلمي
it will
والابتكار
receive
سوف
a
يكون
full
في سلم
attention,
أولوياتنا الوطنية.
and it will be
وسنمده
provided with the
بكافة
supporting
أسباب التمكين
environment which motivates research
باعتباره
and innovation.
الأساس الذي من خلاله
We will
سيتمكن
provide with
أبناؤنا
all means of
من
empowerment
الإسهام
since
في
it is
بناء
the base
متطلبات
upon our
المرحلة
children will be able to participate in the requirements.
بسم الله الرحمن
In the name of
الرحيم.
Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious.
الحمد لله الذي جعل
Peace
عمان
be upon
موطنا
our
للعلم
Prophet,
والعمل
and thanks to Allah who
وملاذا آمنا.
helped us to live
ثم
in
الصلاة
this
والسلام على
noble
سيدنا
country.
رسول الله
Peace be upon our Prophet
محمد
Muhammad
وعلى
and all of
آله
his
وصحبه وسلم.
companions.
صاحب السمو
Your
والسيد
Royal Highness Sayyid
ذي يزن
the Yazan
بن
bin
هيثم
Haytham
بن
bin
طارق
Tariq Al
السعيد
Said,
الموقر
the
وزير الثقافة
Minister of Culture,
والرياضة
Sports and Youth,
راعي الحفل.
the patron of this event.
أصحاب السمو
Your Excellencies, the Ministers,
المكرمون
your
الأعضاء
honorable members of the State Council, your Excellencies, dear Director General of the programs and also projects and departments, dear audience, and dear viewers through Oman TV live. and also through the social media channels of the Ministry of Higher Education and Research and Innovation. Peace be upon all of you. Good evening to all of you. We would love to welcome you in the annual research forum, and it is 7th edition, which is organized by the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation on annual basis as one of the main phenomenon and also scientific events. And this year it is conducted in collaboration in this room and also through the virtual broadcasting since as one of the precautionary levels for the COVID-19. We appreciate the attendance of the Royal Highness attendance of His Royal Highness Sayyid Adi Yazan bin Tariq. Dear audience, the research and also the serious work is a trait of those who always look for progress and development, and countries and civilizations, they don't progress unless based on serious research. And this is what our country is really working hard to achieve, and it is in the vision which was drafted with strong hopes that are represented in Oman Vision 2040. Under the patronage of the wise leadership of our His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq Al Said, may Allah safeguard him. Therefore, we would work hard, we will build, and also we will work harder to do whatever it takes to achieve for Oman or what it needs and also what it looks forward to achieve. Dear audience, the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation it is an ambitious vision to take care of youth innovators, because they are the true fortune of the Sultanate, as has been stated by His Majesty. In the opening of this event, I would love to call on Professor Rahma bint Ibrahim al-Mahrouqi, the Minister of Research, of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, to deliver her welcoming remark.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم والصلاة والسلام على النبي الأكرم والرسول الأعظم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. صاحب السمو السيد يزن بن هيثم بن طارق Al Said, the Minister of Culture, Sports and Youth, the patron of this event, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, the Honorable Members of the State Council, Your Excellencies, the researchers, scientists, and dear audience. Peace be upon all of you. It is really a great honor that we would welcome you in the proceedings of the Annual Research Forum for 2020, which is aiming to broadcast the executive plan for the National Strategy for Research, Innovation and Development 2040. And this would explain the roadmap that the Ministry would work harder through for the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation to empower the country to reach and national economy which is based on knowledge. In addition, to announce and to honor those winning researchers who are winning the National Research Award in the 7th edition. Dear audience, this edition of the award has witnessed a great contest from different levels. So the number of the delivered researchers for the different categories in the current edition, for the first
time 218 scientific publication with an increase of 34.6% on the previous compared with the previous award. This reflects that this award is achieving its main goal, which is more important, is to motivate researchers and scientists to conduct more researches with high quality and which also represent high and national importance, and also to qualify Omani innovators who are able to compete locally and internationally. Taking care of the royal, His Majesty's attention, may Allah safeguard him, for the innovation sector and research and higher education, and put it on the top of priorities of the country, to be on top of priorities of the Sultanate's Vision 2040, and also to include it in the constitution of the Sultanate that made it a clear pillar to be in the sustainable development of the country, and also to build an economy based on knowledge. Therefore, the Ministry of Higher Education, Innovation and Research, it is working to implement a national strategy for innovation, which goes hand in hand with Oman Vision 2040, and different strategic goals and also pillars, which all aim to be achieved with the integration in order to also reinforce the national system of research, and also to build a competitive economy which is based on innovation and which is also empowered with national powers, which also can generate tangible revenues for the economy, for the development, and also which can expand the base of entrepreneurship base, and also which also contribute in the welfare of the Omani citizen within a society which is based on knowledge and also which enjoys security and taking care of others. Dear audience, we hope that this forum, it achieves its own objective, and that all the participants learn from the ideas and plans, and also we would love to affirm that our readiness to serve whatever it takes to achieve the vision of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq. May Allah safeguard him. In conclusion, I would love to thank once again His Royal Highness Sayyid Yazan for patroning this event, and this is a great honor and also good stimulation for innovators. We hope that this would lead the renewable renaissance of the Sultanate's vision under the leadership of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq Al Said. May Allah safeguard him. Thank you so much for the attendance. I wish and I pray to God that He succeeds us to achieve the Sultanate's goal, and peace be upon all of you, and thank you so much.
شكرا معاليكم.
Thank you so much, Your
صاحب السمو
Excellency,
راعي الحفل الموقر.
Your Royal Highness.
إن البحث العلمي والابتكار طريق رصين إلى الاقتصاد المبني على المعرفة، لأنه يتقاطع ويتفاعل مع كافة القطاعات ويعظم من نتاجها ويحسن ويطور من عملياتها. والتحول للاقتصاد المعرفي أمر في غاية الأهمية لتعزيز الاقتصاد الوطني ليكون متنوعا ومستداما. ولسعادة الدكتور سيف بن عبد الله الهدابي وكيل الوزارة للبحث العلمي والابتكار وقفة وكلمة حول إنجازات البحث العلمي والابتكار السلطنة، وعن الطريق الأمثل لبناء اقتصاد مبني على المعرفة. أدعو سعادته لتقديم عرضه التقديمي، فليتفضل مشكورا.
I would ask him to deliver his presentation. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious, greetings be upon our Prophet Muhammad and all of his companions. Your Royal Highness the Yazan bin Haytham bin Tariq Al Saeed, the Minister of Culture, Youth, Sports and Youth, Your Excellencies, Your Royal Highnesses, the Honorable Members of the State Council, Your Excellencies, the members of the Shura Council, the Undersecretaries and also the Chairman of the authorities, dear audience, be peace upon all of you. The speech of His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq Al Saeed, may Allah safeguard him, is identifying the main roadmap and also affirms the political will for innovation, which was represented in the tangible speech, which also made innovation research on the top priorities of the Sultanate. And those fields will be supported and empowered, and this is motivating us to achieve this political vision of His Majesty. That political will was translated through inserting it and also including in the constitution, which was, they have mentioned that to support innovators and talents, and also through the Oman Vision 2040 through the first strategic goal. This coincides with the sectoral visions of innovation research, which are also represented in the National Strategy for Innovation and also with the National Strategy for Research and Development. The first objective of Oman Vision 2040 identifies the first is to provide sustainable learning and also research, which also leading to economy and also for having national capacities. The strategy of innovation is aiming to have a national system which empower innovation and also achieve sustainable development. However, the national strategy for research and development, which today we'll speak about its outcomes, is to enhance the development through empowering economy which is based on knowledge, innovation and scientific excellence, and also enforcing the intellectual capital. Please allow me in this humble presentation to identify certain terminologies related to innovation, research and also knowledge-based economy. Scientific research is any scientific research which is systematically organized and also related to human sciences and employing these sciences to provide innovative solutions. The scientific research can be divided into three main goals. The main research, which is also increasing the awareness, and then the applied innovation, which is providing solutions for certain challenges, and then the experimental innovation, which is providing certain materials. Innovation is defined that it is the practical implementation of products and services or new operations or the ones that are operated and also for the marketing. As you may realize that it's divided, innovation is divided into four as being identified Oslo, a matrix: innovation in products or in operations and marketing or an organization. Whatever comes before innovation in terms of building incubations and prototypes and registering patents, all of that is called the innovative steps, and yet that is not called innovation. The knowledge-based economy is stemming from the knowledge base and also implementing that in the added value and also in the production level, also to increase the competitiveness. In other words, that the knowledge-based economy, once it is involved in any traditional economy, it will lift that economy to be competitive and sustainable. Therefore, it would increase the GDP of the country. As this curve known internationally, there is direct correlations between the knowledge level and also between the GDP per capita. We would realize that this positive correlation, the more the knowledge increases in the countries, the more it is GDP increases because of the knowledge-based economy. However, when it comes to the operation of the knowledge-based steps, it is represented into two main steps. Transferring money to knowledge, and then transferring knowledge towards money. And then we would be able to develop businesses and so on. In other words, knowledge must be transferred into products that can achieve the welfare of a country, because this is the main goal of knowledge-based economy. We can implement knowledge-based economy through the open innovation matrix. In other words, we mean that technology, innovation, and businesses can be produced and also can be bought and also sold in any phase as per the requirements and also per the national and sectoral and economic priorities. As you may realize that this channel has many holes, so we can import technologies, ideas, knowledge, and even we can import the companies, and then also we can sell them to other countries, those who are in need for such technologies. But however, we need to implement this as per the national priorities. Most oftenly, the knowledge production phase is less costly, but also it has high risk. It is not highly secured whether this knowledge would be transferred to innovation in the market. And this risk, it might be alleviated once the technology is developing. This is what we call the Death Valley risk. And this is in between three, there might be knowledge, but that knowledge, it cannot be end up with positive products. But however, there will be kind of products that also cannot reach the market. Therefore, here is the issue. So we need to build bridges between these phases, but it is most important that we need to realize that the cost is increasing the more we reach to the market. So supporting an idea at the start of this channel, it might have just one unit cost, but if we want to build a factory, so the cost is going to be increasing the more we go into the business environment. Also, I would love to point out that the financer, those who are financing or funding this knowledge, this mainly is from the state budget, but those who are funding business development is the private sector and also the industrial and those who are capitalists. In addition to this, the business environment is and also development of knowledge and technology requires much more of innovation ideas. We have more than 300 ideas on the knowledge innovation, but however, not all of those 300 ideas will be reaching the market. There are so many filters by which these might be blocking some of these ideas, and these will not be successful, but others they will be. We can support these innovation ideas at least at the first steps in order to be able to have a knowledge-based economy. That the national innovation system to be successful, we need to have its main components. So each system has its own elements and also a good quality of those elements. So it is a necessity to have these elements with high quality, and then this system must be working as per collaborative basis. So that is something really important in order to have it more effective. So the interaction either through the funding or through the operation has been identified before. It must be the same levels. At the start of the knowledge development, there are some research centers. At the end of this system, there are companies and also the industrial sector and the market. And the middle, these who are working hard, like for example, develop these items. Therefore, we are in the innovation and scientific research sector. We need to build this system in cooperation with the other partners. We doesn't necessarily need that we build these programs. We have a couple of programs, and also we have supporting programs that we have established. Like for example, the Industrial Innovation Support Program. We established the Oman Innovation Development Company, And also we built some innovation programs and decision-making projects, like for example the strategic program of alleviating accidents in cooperation with the ROP, and also another program with the Ministry of Social Development. For example, of the knowledge of the production is the smart cities platform that is increasing for those residents in the smart cities, and also that sustains the good reputation, and also using the fourth industrial revolution technologies. This program was built in cooperation with other universities, as been identified on the right side of the slide. Also, the programs that we have established for prototypes, it's the smart environmental friendly competition. This competition has achieved greatly. So there are 5 houses have been built in the Sultan Qaboos University, in the Nizwa University, Dhufar University, and also in the Higher Technology University and the German EduTech. In addition, also with the Nizwa University. So these houses are environmentally friendly. They are visited with many students, researchers, and these are true houses. So they are producing energy from the solar power, and they have been finished since a long time. These houses are able to build certain policies for renewable energy in the Sultanate. Also, the knowledge development programs, where we call the upgrade, and this is concerned for transferring students' graduation projects towards companies, specifically in the fourth industrial revolution and also the IoT. This program is in partnership with Omantel and also with the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth, and with the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, also in cooperation with the Ministry of Transport and IT, and also with the Public Authority for SMEs Development. Each partner of this, they do their own part. So when a student graduates and then he wants to build a company, this program has contributed to build 12 companies. In addition, there are some other companies which are competing, but also they are, even if they did not succeed to win the prize of the award, but also they have been successful in other fields. We are in our own path to upscale this program to include others. Also here I would love to point out that others might think that the open innovation sector that might start from the left to the right, from building innovation to the products and development. But actually the innovation is not linear. In other words, the ideas might be from entrepreneurship, it might be from the industrial sector. And sometimes this is more successful because they know the issue, and then they took this issue to the government, to the universities, and they tried to resolve these issues. We have built certain programs for example, the Industrial Innovation Program, where it's called the Industrial Innovation Sector. This was built by the Research Council previously, in cooperation with the public establishment for real estate, and also we built another program to attract more challenges from the industry, in cooperation with Oman Petroleum Development, also with the Ministry of Energy and Minerals. So this is what we call IJAD. This program has been working very smartly with our sector. Up until today, the industrial challenges that this program has received is more than 66 challenges. The universities have responded with 212 propositions and proposals to find solutions for these industrial challenges. The number of the projects that have been signed up until this year is more than 21 research projects between the universities and between the industrial sectors. That was more than 1 million Omani riyals. So this is the prospective road, so that the country does not only which is bearing the cost of innovation, but also the private sector is contributing. In order to reinforce the national innovation system, the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation is building a digital platform. Now it is the time for digital platforms to connect all of these entities. This will facilitate for others to propose their ideas, and then they will be transferred towards products that can be marketed, and that will provide positively job opportunities and also contribute to the economy. This year we will launch the Muscat Innovation. So this is Muscat Innovation Complex. It is located very close to Sultan Qaboos University, and it is very close to the Rusail industrial area, and also it is close to the academic sector. This will be developed on the 450,000 square meters, but the main blueprint for the development is 280,000 square meters. The specializations is about innovation by technology, power, water, and environment, and these are connected with the fourth industrial revolution technologies like artificial intelligence, in order to increase the productivity through using the modern technology. The main building, it is almost like almost done, where we call the innovation complex, and this will empower for the innovation centers. There are also other 4,000 square meters for innovation incubations. The other building is the workshops building, where we call the prototypes building, so that innovators, they can implement their prototypes and also their ideas. And also we are trying to attract those who would love to develop certain aids, for example, the Public Authority for SMEs development, and also for other those contributors. In addition, there is also the social complex, which is also provide certain services. This complex has also spaces for private sector companies, so that they do have a place in the Muscat complex. Some, for example, the Oman Liquid Energy and Schlumberger and also OQ, they have started to have their own offices there, and others, they have communicated with us to block certain
مراكزها البحثية في المجمع. هو الهدف منه انه حقيقة تشغيل المنظومة بصورة متكاملة. يجب أن تكون الصناعة والجانب الأكاديمي والبحثي والحكومة تعمل من خلال هذه المناطق العلمية. وقبل أن نختم,
before I conclude my presentation, I just wanted to point out that certain achievements have been accomplished in the previous year, 2020. We have many programs. Very quickly, the programs that are supporting knowledge is the knowledge-based economy. This has received 832 research proposals. The 248 proposals have been funded in order to enhance knowledge. The funding cost is 1,200,000. However, for the COVID-19 research program was instantly created to support the efforts that the Sultanate is exerting. This program has received more than 440 COVID-19 proposals. They have the 28 have been projects have been funded with 200 almost 200,000 mls. Today we would launch the identity of the Omani Animals and Plants Genetic Resources Center. This will be training innovators and entrepreneurs to maximize the genetic resources of plants and animals. That will build some job opportunities. The Advanced Technologies Center has received 17 challenges this year, and 10 contracts have been signed with like 385,000 mls. Today there is the annual the research award also has received by Her Excellency a couple of proposals, and we would be honoring those winners. The project or the program for transferring the students' graduation projects this year has received more than 72 proposals. So this is in the ICT. If we expand, then we might receive more and more programs. And this is our intention. So we've got a support from Amantel, and which are also funding this program through consecutive years. This has been funded. We have funded 3 companies in last November, and other 12 companies are working currently. In conclusion, I would love to thank Your Royal Highness Sayyid the Yazan bin Haytham bin Tariq Al Saeed for honoring this event. I would love to thank my friends and colleagues who have exerted efforts during the past years to prepare for this forum, and also to have it in such bright efforts. Thank you so much.
شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Dear audience, the hopes are huge, and also the challenges are tough, but it is really a necessity that we work harder, and also to look forward to its future, and also to achieve the Sultan's Vision 2040, that at least we advance more confidently. So gaining the and learning from our own confidence. Now we would stop with Dr. Jamila bint Ali Al-Hinai, the Director of the National Strategy for Research and Development 2040, to deliver a presentation about the executive plan for the national strategy. So, Dr. come please. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صاحب السمو السيد ذي يزن بن هيثم بن طارق الموقر راعي هذا الحفل، وزير الثقافة والرياضة والشباب، أصحاب السمو، أصحاب المعالي، أصحاب السعادة، الباحثين والعلماء الأفاضل، مشاهدينا في كل مكان تتابعون فيه الملتقى السنوي للباحثين في نسخته السابعة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسرني أن أستعرض عليكم ملامح
showcase the highlights of the executive plan for research and in development to 2040. This strategy has been drafted from the knowledge for development base, and it is mainly working on the scientific research to transfer towards a knowledge-based economy, and also to contribute to achieve the Sultanate's Vision 2040, and also to achieve the Sultanate's vision, which is sustainable. So this vision is empowering for scientific research, which is leading for national comparative capacities. This is an excerpt from the Sultanate's Vision 2040. The vision and mission is to empower and also to whatever it is would be supporting the social and economic development of the country. The strategy has set it out for main orientations to reinforce the scientific research and development towards achieving knowledge based on economy based on knowledge. Also to reinforce the collaboration and also integration between those actors, and also to achieve the research excellence, which is producing some economic impact out of this research, and also to uplift the scientific research and also development, and also to distribute the culture as it is considered one of the main assets, and it's not less than any other natural resources for the country, because knowledge is increased by utilization and is not inevitable. The strategy has set out certain values that will be supporting the programs of the strategy. Quality and excellence in achieving strategic transparency and professionalism in implementing the plans and programs, integration between sectors to showcase the economic impact of research, and also to employ the social and economic development. The strategy has identified the three priorities groups which will be focused on during the next years. One of the key one is the research priorities that go hand in hand with the Sultanate Vision 2040 and also with the 5-year development plans. These are coincided with the sectoral needs. In addition to this, we have set it out certain specialized packages which are known that have diversified partners and also touches the national priorities. These are three. One is to empower the food security and also link it with the power and also then about intellectual assets. The three one is about the emerging talks, which also providing the proactive responses and so goes in hand with the international indicators. This is where we achieving the sectors. So this is an empowering sector for other, and also it is one that is independent. It can be adapted to be very effective to the national economy. Therefore, the strategic plan is building partnerships between different segments of innovation, and also depending on packages of initiatives. And then they have identified certain orientation directives. One is to direct the development and research towards sectors that are based on knowledge and also which have competitive economic advantages. Also to empower the national capacities on the technical and also on the technical leaderships. Also to support the research development and also to enhance the innovation products. And fourth is to reinforce the organizational structure which is organizing the innovation policies. We have also 12 initiatives in this strategy based on the programs that are carrying out currently, and also based on the 4 strategic goals, and also through the ensuring this implementation more properly. The strategic first orientation is focusing on the excellence of research, and this includes the research centers which have various disciplinaries. These are accelerating the provided information at the Ministry of Higher Education and also in other private, the public sector. These centers would be having the compatibility and collaboration with others. The second initiatives is the scientific research, so it's academic chairs. This will be supporting the knowledge which is fulfilling the industrial needs and also the other production fields. Also in addition to the achieve the integration with the different disciplines. And the third one is to the program of policies supporting policies for research and development. These are also will be working hard to achieve the policies and laws of intellectual properties when it comes relating to transport and also technology settlement. These would be empowering the partnerships between all different factors within the research and development matrix, and also this would open spaces for regional international collaboration and also to empower the absorptive capacities of industries. This includes the transfer and also settling technology, and this includes some sub initiatives. And also, in addition to technology transfer, it also includes to enhance the technological leaderships. The second The other one is the conceptual and also research translation. It has a positive results, so this will be translated and also it would be more integrated. Then also we have the academic fellowships and programs. This also would have proper interaction between the academia and also between research and also industrial sector. This will create a connection between the party creating knowledge and also between the targeted audience. So this would shed light the social and also the economic development for future challenges. And these initiatives include the future-looking studies program, and this will provide proactive measures. The second is about the flexibility research program. This will provide social research that will be supporting the Sultan's Vision 2040 and also in the strategic planning. The third one is about decision-making laboratory. This will be supporting the proactive leadership and also leadership which is based on evidence and decision-making and also good governance. The fourth or quadrant is to separate the economic research and also to support the knowledge and also shed light on the support of youth. These initiatives will look at the fourth industrial revolutions laboratories program. This is strategic research which is empowering research and in development to empower the fourth industrial technologies and also for the upcoming technologies that will be serving the higher education and also the university education and higher technology education. The second is the future skills, National Future Skills Laboratory. This would identify the direction of the national skills, and that we would be having a proper adaptation in terms of the curriculum and also in terms of the training programs. This also would build that also strengthen the youth leadership. The last one is about the globalization, youth development and knowledge program. This is a dialogue, a conversational research program. It is focusing more on to shed light the youth innovators expertise and also to support them and encourage them to be more open to the international scientific environment while focusing at the same time to preserve the national civilization and also the positive citizenship. Since the main goal is the compatibility dialogue and with all influences within the research and development sector, with these roles, strategic roles have been identified, which are also expected from responsible factors that will be enhance implementing these initiatives. One, also in addition to focus on the industrial sector. The industrial sector is one of the sectors that will be requesting these research outcomes. These examples for these strategic roles is about building industrial knowledge and also increasing the absorptive capacities of these graduated people and also to reinforce the research cooperation. In addition to enhance the sectorial and also industrial collaboration. So these sectors will be accelerated in terms of adapting the technologies in addition to build the required skills and also empower the research policies. The implementation of this national strategic development is coincides with 4 plans, and therefore so this is, goes hand in hand with it will be implemented on phases levels. So number 1, they will be involving the factors and also to involve the partnership with the entities. In addition, to have more also training programs for good evaluation. Therefore, we were able to have a plan for the graduating people that would require a quick or prompt intervention that will has reflected the research innovation, and also that helped to achieve more advanced levels in the international indexes. This would be having a leading future economy for the Sultanate. This also enabled to identify the key challenges that are facing the implementation of this strategy, one of which is the spending on the innovation and also on research. So here the accelerator's role comes as a good hard work, and also social, and also raising awareness program. The strategy has identified to allocate a certain portion of the state budget. So there will be 0.5% of the state budget, and there will be increasing by 2% by 2040. Also, this strategy has suggested that this funding will be in partnership between the public and the private sector, 30 to 70%. And also the executive plan has made some estimates for the financial support for research and innovation in a way that will secure the phased implementation of 3 strategic goals. The first strategic track is to implementing the quick gains, and then there is the midterm and then long-term investment. Also, we have had some KPIs, and these are some examples. For example, now for the inputs is the spending on research, and also the human resources, the funding, also through identifying the distribution. In terms of the institutional framework for research and development, here we speak about the quality of research institutions, also the partnership between the institution and also scientific research. When it comes to the outcomes is about the innovation patents, public scientific publications, also having technology companies, in addition to the what we call these intangible revenues, which will be impacting the applied revenues. I hope that Allah succeeds also in implementing this country under the wise leadership of Our Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq. May Allah safeguard Your Royal Highness Sayyid Yazan bin Haytham bin Tariq, the patron of this university. Dear viewers, thank you for listening to me, and I wish you all the best.
شكرا جزيلا لك.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jamila. Your Royal Highness, dear audience, the Oman Plants and Animals Genetic Resources Center, which is affiliated with the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation since it was established in 2012, many programs and research in order to document, to preserve the wildlife the Sultanate is enjoying. Also, it has worked hard to build raising awareness programs for the animal and also plant field, and also for the biotechnology and microbiology. This program has built digital databases, and also building data banks which are supporting the Omani youth, which also will be helping the Omani innovators to build their SMEs. And therefore, and based on this experience and this wide expertise, the center has worked hard to reshape, to re-identify it is a new identity, which is a renewable launching, which goes hand in hand with Oman Vision 2040. This affirms the significance of building the capacities and potentials, and also to maximize learning from our available resources. Now we will deliver to you the new identity through a short movie for the Omani Plants Animals Genetic Resources Center.
أسس مركز عمان للموارد الوراثية الحيوانية والنباتية في عام 2012 للميلاد استجابة للأوامر السامية للمغفور له بإذن الله تعالى السلطان قابوس بن سعيد طيب الله ثراه، ليكون المركز المختص بمراجعة الفرص المتاحة لصون الموارد الوراثية ولتعزيز الاستخدام المستدام والترويج والوعي بأهمية التنوع الوراثي المتأصل في الحيوانات والنباتات والكائنات البحرية والكائنات الحية الدقيقة باعتبارها موردا وراثيا وتراثيا. وقد أسس المركز من شعاره اللفظي المتمثل في تحويل الموارد الوراثية إلى قيمة، أسس ركيزة أساسية لانطلاق برامجه ومشاريعه التي تهدف إلى حفظ وصون وتوثيق الموارد الوراثية بشتى أنواعها. يتكون الرمز الذي يشكل شعار المركز من خيطين مميزين ومتداخلين، حيث استلهمت هذه الفكرة من اللولب المزدوج في الحمض النووي. ويتبين لنا أن هناك حرفين من اللغة الإنجليزية وهما XY، حيث يمثلان الجانب الجيني الذي تقوم عليه فكرة مركز عمان للموارد الوراثية الحيوانية والنباتية. وتم وضع الخيطين بصورة متداخلة بشكل متعمد، وذلك لتكون على شكل قزمة
that they will be as the grains package, one which is one of the foods that provide food security in the Sultanate. The lower part of the logo which is the representing the small part of the plant, and is the starting point by which the other part of the logo has been started. The symbolic chromosomes representing the linkage between the genetic resources and building balanced level. The other part is representing to use technology in the biodiversity. The center is aiming to achieve the Oman's Vision 2040, which are represented priorities in learning, education, and also for innovation. So therefore, there is the Mawarid word came. So this is would be representing our resources for the future to come. On the top of the mountains of the Sultanate, up until the deep seas of the Sultanates, and also in line with the Sultanate's vision, and through the fourth industrial revolution, the colors have been inspired from the Omani environment.
وتحققت الاستفادة من موارد السلطنة الطبيعية الحية من خلال توسيع العمل فيما حققه المركز بداية من إنشاء قواعد بيانات للموارد الوراثية المتنوعة
database for the diversified genetic, and also has started to build the genes bank, and also to provide more job opportunities through Manafa program, and also it has incorporated more benefits. As a result of this amazing work, the Mawarid team has worked hard to achieve more achievements through the past years, and also to work harder to achieve more projects that go hand in hand with the Sultanate's Vision 2040. Transferring the genetic resources towards a value.
صاحب السمو أيها الحضور الكريم، في ماضي حياة البشر وحاضرهم ومستقبلهم تتوالى التغيرات والتحديات. كيف نتعلم من الماضي؟ وكيف نتأقلم مع الحاضر وإن كثرت مشكلاته وصعوباته؟ وكيف نستعد للمستقبل؟ الخبير الدولي الدكتور جميل سالمي المتحدث الرسمي لحفلنا
is the keynote speaker and he will tell us more in the next few minutes. Please allow me to give at least a rich biography of Dr. Jamal Salmi. He is an international advisor in higher education. He worked as government policies and universities program, and also has worked with the multidisciplinary banks and also in collaboration with other he was the higher education coordinator in the World Bank during the past 25 years. Dr. Salmi has provided many consultative studies to improve the higher education and also for strategic planning for governments and also in more than 100 countries around the globe. Dr. Jamal Salmi is an honorary professor for higher education policies in Chile and also an associate fellow in Boston University. And also he is a member in the consultation group of equality assurance. And he also is honorary advisor in new planner in Chile for the in the technology of higher education. Dr. Jamil Salmi has a master's in the public and international affairs from Pittsburgh from the United States, and he has a PhD in social studies from the United Kingdom. Dr. Jamil, the floor is yours.
Excuse me, unmute, Victor. Assalamu alaikum, Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, distinguished participants. It is an immense honor for me to visit Oman for the first time, even though it is only virtual. But I've heard so many good things about the Switzerland of the Middle East, about the first Arab state to become independent. And I hope that in the near future, inshallah, I will be able to visit you physically. A few years back, Norway elected a prime minister, Mrs. Erna Solberg. And as you know, Norway has the richest sovereign fund in the world as a result of oil and gas exploited from the North Sea. But to the astonishment of her fellow citizens, in her first speech as prime minister, Mrs. Solberg told them, we need to forget about oil. Knowledge is the oil of the future, and so we need to invest in knowledge. And based upon this observation, I have divided my presentation with you today into two parts. First, I would like to echo what the preceding speakers at today's conference have already mentioned very eloquently. The importance of knowledge for innovation. And then because we are living this extraordinary pandemic, look at the impact of COVID-19 on higher education and research. When I was still at the World Bank, former colleagues of mine did a comparison between two countries, South Korea and Brazil, because back in the 60s, they were at the same level of economic development. But when you look at the right of the graph, you will see that South Korea is doing much better than Brazil. And yet South Korea has no natural resources. And if you've been to South Korea, you will know 2/3 of the area is just mountain and rocks, whereas Brazil is an immense country, almost a continent, with a lot of natural resources. And to explain and understand why South Korea has done better than Brazil, they did an analysis of total factor productivity and realized that the main difference explaining the situation in both countries is that South Korea, much better than Brazil, has used and applied new knowledge to fuel its development. And perhaps today some of you drove to the conference in a Hyundai car, or maybe you have a Samsung cellular phone, or maybe at home you watch TV on an LG screen. But I'm not sure that you use many high-tech Brazilian products in your daily life, unless you are the happy owner of an Embraer airplane. And when we look at the education experience of both countries, it is fascinating to see the difference. This graph shows you the educational attainment of the adult population. Brazil is on the right, South Korea on the left. Red means only primary education, blue is secondary, and green is higher education. At the bottom in 1960, you will see a pattern that was the same in both countries. Most adults had only primary education. But we move forward in time at the top in 2018. You can see that in South Korea, half the adult population has a high education qualification. Whereas in Brazil, even though they have improved, we still have 47% with only primary and only 18% with high education. And another interesting statistic is that when we look at what happens with PhD graduates when they finish their studies, in Brazil, most of them stay at the university as academics, disconnected from real life. Whereas in South Korea, 60% go and work in private firms and in the R&D development departments to produce these products of high tech that I mentioned. And it's no surprise to see that in terms of production of patents, South Korea, with a population 4 times less than Brazil, is producing 14,000 every year, and Brazil less than 400. Now, I mentioned the Embraer airplanes because here is an interesting exception. Brazil is the world leader in this field. And I ask myself, is this just pure luck, a coincidence, or did something deliberate happen? Indeed, in the late 50s, the government of Brazil set up a technology institute for aeronautics in partnership with MIT. In fact, the first president of that institute was an MIT professor. And this is where they trained the scientists, the technicians, the engineers who gradually were able to develop these world-class airplanes. Let us take another example in the Nordic world now. In Finland, 500 kilometers north of their capital city, Helsinki, there is a small city called Oulu in the middle of the forest. And the main company there, they used to cut the trees to make paper and cardboard. But in the late 70s, the CEO of that company got worried about the future of his industry. So he challenged the government. If you establish a technology university in our small town, I will invest in labs and invite other private sector investors to come. I'm told that professors in Helsinki were not enthusiastic about moving to this city in the middle of nowhere. But the government thought that it was a good idea and they established a university. And today, if you Google, you will see that the city and university share the same website because their development has been so closely intertwined. Now, if I ask you, what is the name of this company whose CEO had this vision towards the future? Maybe some of you will have guessed that I'm talking about Nokia. They went on from being a company that used products of the forest and then to move into electronics and become one of the world leaders. In their best days, they were responsible for 25% of the exports of Finland and contributing 70% of the financing of R&D in Finland. Now, some of you may challenge me telling me that this is a bad example because we all know that Nokia encountered difficulties. But here is a second lesson, I believe. The fact that you are number one today doesn't guarantee in any way that you will still be number one tomorrow unless you keep investing. And I believe that this lesson applies not only to companies, but also to universities that need to constantly innovate to advance. Indeed, many countries like Oman with your Vision 2040 have put higher education and research at the heart of economic growth. And here is an example from East Asia that I find fascinating. Some of you may have recognized this picture from 1965 of a small fisherman's village called Singapore. Back then, their GDP per capita was only $500. And if you have traveled recently to Singapore, that is before the pandemic, you will have seen a totally transformed city-state, a smart city. If you took a taxi from the airport to your hotel, perhaps there was no driver. It was totally automatic. Their GDP per capita is one of the richest countries in the world. It's 60,000. In fact, Oman also has seen such a great increase from $100 per capita in GDP in 1965 to almost 30,000 today. But there is a big difference. Harvard University researchers have developed what they call the Economic Complexity Index, which measures how your exports are diverse, looking at countries where you have very little variety with low technological level to leading countries with high technological level in their exports, the products and the services that they export. And the top 5 in the world are Japan, Switzerland, South Korea, Germany, and Singapore, number 5. Oman has improved quite significantly from 88 to number 83 in 2018 out of 153 countries. But as you know, there is still a long way to go. And just one example from Singapore, how they have merged and worked together between the higher education, research, and innovation. A friend of mine was the Dean of Engineering at the National University of Singapore, so he told me the following true story. One day he had his eureka moment. He said, it's true, Singapore has no natural resources, whatever. In fact, from the beginning, they had to import everything, the water that they drink, the food that they eat, energy. They have built their development on talent exclusively. So one day he said, oh, we are wrong when we say that we don't have natural resources. We have the sun, which actually many countries in the world have. So why don't we do some research in solar energy? So he asked his professor to identify the top researchers in the world. And they came back the next day and told him, you know, in Germany, there is this professor by the name of, what's his name? The Professor Joachim, who is one of the leading researchers in the world. So my friend, the dean, traveled to Germany and asked for a meeting with Professor Joachim. And when he met with him, the professor was very busy. So he listened absently to the Singaporean's presentation. And after a few minutes, he said, thank you very much for your visit, but please go away. I'm not interested in Singapore. I'm very happy in Germany. In fact, the president of the republic had just nominated him to head a commission on the future of renewable energy. But my friend from Singapore, who is quite stubborn, took out from his pocket 2 business class tickets and told him, Professor Joachim, this is for you and your wife. Please come and visit Singapore and see by yourself. And here I'm showing you a picture of the day of the inauguration of the new research institute on solar energy. On the left, you have the president of the Singaporean Republic, actually former president of the Academy of Science, and on the right, the first director of the institute. Can you guess the name of that person? Yes, it's Dr. Joachim. And with him, he brought not only his knowledge, but also hundreds of thousands of research contracts that he had won in Europe. And today, with the National University of Singapore's Research Institute and TVET Institute's training technicians for solar energy, we have a huge factory producing photovoltaic panels with an investment of $3.5 billion, covering 5% already of energy consumption in Singapore. And in fact, since they are aiming to have a circular economy where you waste nothing, you have only a positive impact on the environment. So the recycling of the solar panels, when they will die after 20 years, is in partnership with the Singapore Polytechnic Institute. And I finished this first part with a picture of the largest floating solar energy factory in the world, that is in Singapore. Now, what happens with COVID-19? Back in 2012, the president of Stanford University, President Hennessy, gave a famous speech when he talked about a tsunami. And he was not, even though Stanford is in California next to the Pacific Ocean, he was not talking about a tsunami of water. He was talking about universities in the digital era. 8 years ago, nobody listened to him, nobody paid attention. And yet, it was the arrival of this small virus, COVID-19, almost a year ago, that has transformed the world of higher education and research in an unprecedented way. From one week to the other, sometimes from one day to the other. Sadly, we have seen students, faculty members, and administrators contaminated and sometimes dying. Universities closing down all over the world. All of a sudden, no more classes. We cannot conduct research. You cannot ask the students to take exams. And in many countries, students finding themselves without income, without a place to live. International students stuck in the country where they were studying, they cannot go back home. No more international mobility and conferences. And sadly, already in several countries, US, Australia, the UK, some professors and administrators declared redundant by their universities. Here are pictures from a not so distant past. And this is our present in many countries. And ironically, even though many of us did not trust online education, from one day to the other, it has become the mainstream way of delivering education in universities. What has it implied, this switch, this very rapid switch to online education? You need proper connection to electricity and internet. My last professional trip before the pandemic in February, I traveled from Vietnam to Sudan and then to Nigeria. And in Sudan, the problem was not about internet. It was first to have electricity at the universities every day, 24 hours. That was not possible. Having a proper learning management system, having digital content to share with your students, having trained instructors where your students prepared. How do you align your assessment methods and modalities with the new reality of online teaching and learning? And for research also, many obstacles. All the disciplines where research is based on fieldwork or clinical trials or lab work, if the university or the research institute has closed down, you cannot do it anymore. You cannot travel to participate in international conferences like today's conference, or to visit your partner universities. In many countries, governments have reallocated funds from everything else to COVID research and interventions to cure people, which means that many universities and research centers have lost part of their funding unless they are working on COVID. And I was very happy to hear that in Oman you have 28 COVID projects that have been financed by your government. And also an increase in the gender gap. That's because people are working from home, women who are mothers and spouses, even though they are maybe academics, they have less time to devote to their research. And we already see a decrease in the scientific publication of women, much more than male academics. Revelation of structural problems in many countries, with students having, as I mentioned, limited resources, no adequate access to internet, some universities not having the right digital infrastructure, and some countries or institutions having a precarious funding model. Now, governments have reacted very actively to help the higher education and research sector. In many countries, emergency financial support has been given to universities and to students. In countries where student loans are important, there has been a moratorium on student debt repayment, like in Canada, US. Some countries have subsidized the national research education networks or strengthened them to give access to cheap and good broadband to universities and research centers. Capacity building to train professors, because many professors were not ready for online teaching. And flexibility in quality assurance and accreditation and examinations because of this change. And of course, additional support for researchers and research institutions. Universities also have adapted by training their professors and their students, adapting their assessment methods, and monitoring the quality of the student learning experience, because you don't want to lose your students. You want to make sure that even though you don't see them physically because they're far away, you don't lose them in terms of learning progress. And for that, some universities are using artificial intelligence software, big data, to identify at-risk students and support them. And universities themselves have tried to help their students, giving them emergency scholarships, giving them access to a laptop, to a tablet, helping them to pay for the internet connection. I was able to see some articles on articles on the experience in Oman based on surveys in 2 higher education institutions, and they were good and results, and at the same time some challenges. On the positive side, many of your institutions have developed innovative teaching and learning methods. They have favored independent learning from your students for focusing on problem-solving skills. At the same time, even in a rich country like Oman, some students have experienced internet connection difficulties. Some universities didn't have the full IT equipment. Some of your professors, just like everywhere else, were not fully ready to teach online and to maintain the right interaction between the professors and the students. Because as this graph shows, online learning is not a spectator sport. It's not like watching TV or sitting back in a Zoom class for 8 hours just listening to the professor. No, you need the interaction. And I have selected a short video to share with you to illustrate how you make something difficult much more fun. Over to you, the technical team, if you could kindly show the video. This is at a metro station in Sweden. Thank you very much. So the big challenge when you start teaching online is to have the focus on the needs of the student. There is a very interesting book written by a US professor about student-centered teaching and learning. And I use the title to explain what it means: sparking curiosity, igniting passion, and unleashing genius. How do you keep your teaching experience exciting and stimulating for your students when you hardly see them, only on the screen, where you cannot interact very much? And in fact, this applies not only to online education, but also to presential on-campus education. And I just want to remind you about what I call the golden triangle. As you innovate with the digital curriculum, with innovative pedagogy, you need also to align assessment as you use adequate technology. A few pictures to illustrate. This is a robot. The University of Oklahoma libraries entirely virtual, even before the pandemic. And so students, when they ask questions, it's an artificial intelligence software that responds to them to guide them. And the survey showed that the students were unable to make the difference between the human or the robot in answering their question. This is the University of Victoria in New Zealand, where they adopt virtual reality to make their teaching and learning experience experiential and stimulating for the students. So every day it's like doing a field trip, and they use virtual reality immersion for all their programs. Now, how do you revitalize research under COVID-19? And I'll finish with a few slides on this. When some universities have tried to control access to the physical labs with less people, or going in turns and using the 24 hours to have as many students and professors being able to continue research in the physical labs. Or in some disciplines, you can do remote lab work. A brother-in-law of mine, who is Lebanese, is professor of robotics and at the Technology University in Montreal in Canada. And in his lab, he has Rover, this robot that was sent to planet Mars. This cost $30 million. But the beauty of this equipment is that you can connect through the internet from anywhere in the world and program experiments from your university to do high-tech research. This is a robotic cloud lab that combines research in computer science, robotics, and biology, all remotely. Or you can also have virtual labs in many disciplines, physics, chemistry, etc. You can have these entirely virtual labs where you can practice experience as if you were in a physical lab. Professors can do online supervision, and you can also defend your PhD dissertation online at a distance. So if you have a good internet connection, it is not an obstacle. And what the shift we are observing as a result of the pandemic, that research is becoming less competitive, more collaborative, both within countries and also internationally. And also we see a switch towards open science research. For example, as a result of COVID, many universities and research centers are doing research on COVID from biology and medical sciences have worked together and also published the results of the data that they have openly so that researchers throughout the world could have access to them and work together. And also we see a switch toward more multidisciplinary research. Indeed, universities and research centers all over the world have made a tremendously positive contribution to fight COVID by doing research in epidemiology, modeling, genome sequencing, COVID-19 test, treatment, and helping with finding a vaccine. Some universities have produced medical products for the COVID crisis, from antibacterial soap to gloves, masks, stretchers, home diagnostic tools, etc. Donations of equipment such as ventilators, or use of university buildings as hospitals or quarantine camps, and involvement of medical and nursing students who had not finished. They were missing a few months, but still they went to the front line working in hospitals to help in their countries. And of course, many universities providing medical advice to government and the public. Just a few pictures to illustrate, to finish. I was in Vietnam early February, and the Hanoi Institute of Science and Technology had just invented in a few weeks a new test for COVID, 3 times faster, 3 times cheaper than existing tests. And we all know about Oxford University having produced one of the vaccines that is about to be commercialized. This is a university where they pulled all their 3D printers to produce COVID products to help population. This is a school of engineering in France where they invented this new protection for the stretchers so that when the sick people are taken from their home to the hospital, the medical staff that is transporting them is protected. This is a community college in the US that donated their ventilators to the hospital. This is Yale University transforming their gymnastics hall into hospital ward. In conclusion, I believe that this cartoon summarized very well what we experienced throughout 2020. On the left is how we were planning to start, and on the right is what happened actually. Big changes in our plan. And so now the challenge is to plan for the post-COVID-19 era. And I believe that there is no going back to the old normal. I think that the future will be different for research and higher education. The first priority being, of course, to keep your university and researcher community safe. And some universities are taking measures. I like this cartoon from Australian universities. Keep your distance, at least 1 adult kangaroo apart. Some universities are using robots to clean, to protect the students and the researchers. Some universities are testing in their own lab the academic population. This is a university in the US where social distance between the university president and the vice president. How do you maintain the operation of the university? I think that universities will be given a stronger role as scientific advisor for society and governments, because that's where the knowledge is, and how you prepare for the future. With a new education and research model that is more innovative and a new business model that is more resilient. And finally, incorporating risk analysis and contingency planning in the way you do your strategic plan. Because even though we had been warned by that there would be a pandemic, very few universities had prepared for that. And I finish with a quote from the Roman philosopher Seneca, who told us more than 2,000 years ago that there is no favorable wind for those who don't know where they are going. And I was so pleased to hear about your plans for the future, which show that Oman is well prepared to become a more resilient higher education and research sector. Thank you very much for this invitation.
شكرا جزيلا للدكتور جميل سالمي.
Thank you, Dr. Jamil Salmi. Now it is the time of honoring the winners, the winning research of the National Scientific Research in the 7th edition. The category of the best published for the PhD holders or the consultants or
وفئة أفضل بحث علمي منشور من الباحثين
for the scientific publications and the youth innovators for the non-PhD holders.
ونتشرف في هذا
Now we are honored in this to call on His Royal Highness Sayyid Yazan bin Haytham to proceed on stage to honor the winners, and also I would call on Professor Rahman Mahrouqi and also His Excellency Saif al-Haddabi to on the stage, please.
الجائزة الوطنية للبحث العلمي 2020. الفئة الأولى جائزة أفضل بحث علمي منشور للباحثين من حملة شهادة الدكتوراه أو ما يعادلها، استشاري أو استشاري أول للأطباء فقط. قطاع التعليم والموارد البشرية.
The human resources and education sector.
الورقة العلمية
the work paper entitled University Industry Interactions in the Sultanate of Oman. Challenges and opportunities. It was delivered by
Professor
Constantinos Christendou.
قطاع الاتصالات.
The sector of ICT and telecommunications encoded, and it was in-house. The work paper entitled Transportation Service Redundancy from a spatio-temporal perspective. It was delivered by
Dr.
Hadi Haddad.
Dr. Zaid Bouyahia
and Dr. Zaid Bouyahia.
Dr. Nafa
Japour. And the work paper entitled Cooperative Recurrence Controller for Homogeneous and Heterogeneous Value Systems. It was delivered by Dr. Ashraf Ismail Yusuf Salim.
دكتور أحمد
and
المعشري
Dr. Ahmed Al-Mashri
دكتور منى
and
الرحبي
Dr. Muna Al-Rahbi,
دكتور مدحت عوض
Dr.
الله
Midhat Awadallah,
بروفيسور حاج بردوسي
Professor Hazib Bardosi.
قطاع الثقافة والعلوم الإنسانية والأساسية تم حجب الجائزة. قطاع البيئة والموارد
The
الحيوية
environment and biotechnology.
الورقة العلمية بعنوان
work paper delivered.
Enhanced Power
It
Generation
was
and
entitled Enhanced
Desalination
Power
Rate
Generation
in a
and
novel
Desalination
quadruple
Rate in
microbial desalination cell
novel
with a single
quadruple
desalination chain.
microbial desalination cells. It
المقدمة
was
من
delivered by
دكتورة طاهرة
Dr.
جعفر،
Tahira Jafari,
دكتور عبد الله
Dr. Abdullah Al-Ma'moon,
حليمة الهيملية،
Halima Al-Himli,
دكتور محاد
Had
سعيد
bin
باعوي،
Saeed Bawain,
محمد
Muhammad
شريف
Shafur
الرحمن،
Rahman,
صادق
Sadiq
رحمن،
Rahman,
بيبرو رانجان
Bipro
دار،
Ranjan Dar,
مرتضى أغباش،
Murtaza Aghbashlo,
ميسم طبطباي،
Maysam Tabtai.
قطاع الصحة وخدمة
The
المجتمع.
sector of social service and health.
الورقة
The
العلمية
work paper
بعنوان
delivered by or entitled
Clonal
spine number
mosaicism
mosaicism in an autoreactive and OD mice.
المقدمة من
It was delivered by
دكتورة مها
Dr.
الريامي،
Mahar Riyami,
دكتور لوك
Dr.
مارشل،
Luke Marchant,
دكتور كوان لي،
Dr. Kwan Lee,
دكتور زيايو دو،
Sir Ziyu,
دكتور
Dr.
مارتن
Martin
أوليفير،
Olivier, دكتور
كونستانتين
Konstantina
بوليكروناكوس،
Polokronakos,
قطاع الطاقة
the
والصناعة.
sector of energy and industry.
الورقة العلمية
The work
بعنوان
paper entitled
Energy
Energy Saving Potential
for
for residential buildings in hot
the case
climates
of Oman.
in the case of Oman. It was delivered by
دكتور شهام
Dr.
العلوش،
Shaham Al-Aloush,
دكتور صالح
Dr.
السعد،
Saleh Al-Saadi,
دكتور حسام الواعر،
Dr. Hissam Al-Wa'ir,
دكتور كامل الخالد،
Dr. Kamil Al-Khalid,
الفئة الثانية
The second category is the award of the best scientific research published for the non-PhD holders.
قطاع التعليم
The
والموارد
sector of
البشرية.
education and human resource.
الورقة
The work
العلمية
paper
بعنوان
entitled
فعالية استخدام
The
برنامج كورس لاب
effective
لتدريس
efficacy of
وتقييم
using
العلوم
the
لتحسن
course
التحصيل
lab
الدراسي
program in achieving
والاتجاه نحو المادة
the
لدى طالبات الصف
sciences
العاشر
education
الأساسي
and
بسلطنة عمان.
evaluation and the
المقدمة
educational
من
achievements. It was delivered by
حنان بنت سليمان
Hanan bin
البراشدي،
Sulaiman Al-Brashdi,
حفيظة بنت سليمان
Hafidha bin
البراشدي،
Sulaiman Al-Brashdi,
مريم بن
مريم طالب الحمداني.
قطاع الاتصالات
The sector of telecommunication and information systems. The work paper entitled
Amacot,
a marketplace architecture for trading clouds of things resources. It was delivered by
أحمد بن سالم الرواحي.
أحمد بن سالم الرواحي. Dr. Kevin Lee. Professor Ahmed Lutfi.
قطاع الثقافة
the sector of humanities and culture and
تم حجب
this
الجائزة.
is not rewarded awarded
قطاع البيئة
award.
والموارد
Then,
الحيوية.
the sector of biology
مناصفة بين
it was divided
الورقة
into
العلمية
the work
بعنوان
paper entitled
Fungal Diversity
Fungal
in
Diversity in
Tomato
Tomato
Soil
Reservoirs
Conventional and
soil,
Desert Farming
interventional
Systems.
and desert farming systems. It was delivered by
Miss Ilham
Miss Ilham Kazroni,
Sajiwa
Fajiwa and Mahri Chichi Champora, Valisa Zahan Reti Sami, Hamad Al Mahrouqi,
دكتور
عبد الله السعدي.
والورقة العلمية بعنوان
And the work paper entitled Detecting Dubes Bugs Infestations using high-resolution multispectral satellite data in Oman. It
المقدمة
was
من
delivered by
راشد الشيدي.
Rashid Shidi,
دكتور لاليد كومار.
Dr. Lalit Kumar,
دكتور سالم الخاطري.
Dr. Salim Al Khatri.
قطاع الصحة
The
وخدمة
sector
المجتمع.
of social service and health.
الورقة
The
العلمية
work paper
بعنوان
entitled
Move
Move Diabetes,
a cluster randomized
randomized controlled trial to increase physical activity in adults with the type 2 the primary health care in Oman. It was delivered by
دكتورة ثمرة
Dr. Thamra bin Saeed Al Ghafri,
دكتور سعود بن
Dr.
محمد
Saud bin
الحارث.
Muhammad Al Harthi,
دكتور عبد الحكيم
Dr.
الرواحي.
Abdul Hakim Al Rawahi,
دكتور يحيى الفارس.
Dr. Yahya Al Farsi,
إيلين بانرمان.
and Elaine Bannerman,
أنجيلا أم
Angela M. Craigie,
Annie
Annie
S.
S. Anderson.
قطاع الطاقة
The
والصناعة.
sector of energy and industry.
الورقة العلمية
The work
بعنوان
paper entitled Investigating the technical feasibility of various energy carriers for alternative and sustainable overseas energy transport scenarios.
المقدمة من
was delivered by
محمد
البريكي.
يوسف بايسر
and Yusuf Baiser.
إذا نبارك لجميع الفائزين
بالجائزة ونتمنى لهم إن شاء الله التوفيق and we wish them all the best of luck, and also for those who did not win, wish them also the best of luck and the future opportunities. Now we'll call the winners to take a group photo with the patron of this event, if possible. Thank you.
إذن شكرا جزيلا لجميع الفائزين ونهنئكم بهذه الجائزة ومزيد من التوفيق
and wish you all the best of luck in future.
شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you so much.
إذن في الختام لا يسعنا ألا نتقدم بالشكر الجزيل والكبير لصاحب السمو السيد يزن بن هيثم بن طارق آل سعيد وزير الثقافة والرياضة والشباب على تفضله ورعايته للملتقى، وكذلك لجميع أصحاب السمو والمعالي المكرمون أعضاء مجلس الدولة، أصحاب السعادة، مديرو العموم والمشاريع والبرامج. شكرا جزيلا على هذا الحضور وكذلك حضورنا الكريم من تواجد في هذه القاعة ومن يتابعنا عبر المنصات المختلفة، شاشة المباشر وقنوات التواصل الاجتماعي الخاصة بوزارة. كما بدأت بسم الله أقول في الختام بسم الله على عمان قائدا شعبا وأرضا وحفظه الله تحت ظل القيادة الحكيمة لمولانا حضرة صاحب الجلالة السلطان هيثم بن طارق آل سعيد حفظه الله ورعاه. نلقاكم على خير. ليلتكم سعيدة.
Good night. Thank you.